Welcome back, Nationwide members, to our COVID-19 response series. And today, some very exciting news and some great guests that we have coming your way. We'd like to start out welcoming our two guests from O'Rourke Sales Company. We have Vice President Jake O'Rourke with us, as well as El Presidente, Mr. Andrew Terry, joining us as well. Gentlemen, how are you this morning?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing great. Thank you.
We also have, of course, our own Derek Matala, business development guru. Derek, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everyone jumping on, and look forward to talking a little bit about this new program we got worked out.
Absolutely. Now, we've done this on several of the calls just to give folks an idea where everybody's coming from. Derek, of course, you are home base there, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Andrew and Jake, where are you coming to us from this morning?
I'm coming from our corporate office here in Davenport, Iowa.
And I'm tuning in from our Dallas facility in Flower Mound, Texas. So it's nice that we're still deemed essential and up and running. So we actually have all seven of our facilities up and running, fully employed. So it's great to be in the office and still supporting the membership. Absolutely.
So guys, let's dive right into this. Derek, we're together today to talk about personal protective equipment, PPE. We know that's been a hot topic for members, and internally here at Nationwide, you drew the short straw and were the gentleman who was designated to lead this effort. Can you tell us a little bit about the beginning of that journey and lead us up to where we are today, please?
Yeah, Mike, thanks. And to your point, it's been a journey. That's a perfect word for us to use because it started off as we heard a lot of feedback from the members on having challenges and concerns about finding trusted sources for some of this equipment that's becoming necessary and kind of our normal way of life. And as you think through the prospects of reopening a store and having customers engage with your retail associates and all of our delivery and install crews and everything that goes on at retail, and you go out yourselves and you go to the grocery store and you see the variability of protection that some of the sales associates are provided or have available to them. And I think of the grocery stores, for example. Go to the grocery store and I see so many brave retail workers, even cashiers, helping out customers without any face masks or hand sanitizer or things to protect themselves. It kind of put a light bulb off that maybe getting our hands and being able to provide these things was a little bit more difficult than maybe we were hearing. And you hear all the news articles and all the stories for the healthcare professionals, and certainly that's an extremely important function of this battle against this crisis and this virus. But our retail associates that are working day in and day out are also in that kind of in that front lines of helping out and helping provide a critical function to the economy as we all go through this together. So, I was a little bit taken back and a little bit touched by the lack of availability for not only the healthcare systems, but also for the retail professionals. And as I was talking with different people, talking about what's possible, I started reaching out to contacts throughout the industry to see if we could get supply and access to some of the essential equipment. And it led me to reaching out to Andrew and the team at O'Rourke because we had through conversations had different connections about some of the same topics and had similar conversations about some of our feelings to this challenge. And we reached out to Andrew and to Jake to ask and see if there was a possibility of partnering to put something together to help out with the situation. So very happy that we were able to work quickly and long hours. And when I'm telling you it's long hours, it's Andrew, we have a small little joke where we're waking each other up and putting each other to bed every day for the last probably 7 to 10 days. And it's been a journey for sure.
Absolutely. So Derek, I'm glad you mentioned that part. And Andrew, Jake, I'll turn to you here. When this opportunity came up, You responded very quickly. You were on board almost instantly. Can you give us a little background? Tell us why you knew up front this was a program that O'Rourke Sales Company would want to be part of.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was really a no-brainer for us. It was something that we had already started as a company initiative when this whole coronavirus situation started. My sister is actually a nurse practitioner up in Milwaukee dealing with COVID on a day-to-day basis. So it was something that hit right at home. A number of our employees, have family and friends that work in healthcare and on the front lines. And then obviously our relationship with all the independent retailers across the country. It was something that made sense for us, not just from a personal level by protecting our employees and our family, but really getting back to business and getting this economy back going smoothly.
Absolutely. And Andrew, beyond that base level, the connection with family, and it being such a great thing to be a part of, can you speak a little bit to how O'Rourke was perfectly positioned to be able to facilitate a program like this with your existing infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is we have facilities across the country. We have the ability to move product quickly to the membership. We have great relationships with a lot of the members today, and we almost felt obligated to help out in any way we could. When we came into this crisis, we met as an executive team and basically said, if there's any possible way to help not just the local communities, local food banks. We've been doing some work there as well. It started to just naturally progress into how do we get our independent retail small businesses back working, but back working safely. I mean, that was kind of the underlying factor we thought about as we watched the news and listened to Dr. Fauci and others about the importance of rolling out business, but doing it consciously and practicing good social distancing, but also providing those personal protective equipment items that are needed at the front lines. I mean, Derek spoke to it perfectly. When you go to the grocery store, you see some folks wearing masks and some don't even have it. So we saw this as certainly a miss if some of the bigger chains from a grocery perspective don't even provide this essential equipment and potentially life-saving equipment. We knew we had to do something. And the fact that we have a relationship with a number of suppliers, a number of folks that, work with China and some overseas importers, we were just ready to jump on board. I mean, Derek hit it on the head. Even last night I was on the phone with a couple of our suppliers at, 11:30, 12, 1 o'clock, because that's when they're talking to the factories. And we're procuring this product really real time. So it's a daily chase of all of this equipment. And what we wanted to do was provide it in one simple trusted source. And that being us, O'Rourke Sales Company, just having everything at one place, because I think a lot of independent retail is going to have a challenge sourcing this consistently, having consistent supply, having a not necessarily a competitive price, but a consistent, fair price. And we'll speak to that a little bit about how we're approaching this from an equitable standpoint. We're going to run this under our OSC Cares program, which is the charitable arm of our company. We never went into this thinking, how can we capitalize on this and profit from this? This is truly how do we get our retailers back to business, and how do we do it safely? And that's what our motivation is. So as we see price improvements, certainly we're going to pass on every single dollar of price improvement we get. The other reason I think we were needed to step in is the MOQs, the minimum order quantities, to get a fair price. A lot of this product is not 2,000 or 5,000. We're talking hundreds of thousands of units we've had to commit to. So we're certainly on the front side of this taking, I don't consider it a risk. We're just taking a position to where we need to invest in this to make sure that the pricing and product we get is, again, in a consistent supply, but also at the right price for the membership. So that's some of the reasons why we felt, we needed to be a part of this. Again, our relationship with a lot of the membership, hopefully we'll touch base with a lot more because we think this is just such a critical piece to getting back to business and getting back to business safely.
Absolutely. Now, Derek, turning back to you for just a moment. I know O'Rourke was your first choice, your first phone call on this. Can you speak just a bit to why O'Rourke was that first choice as a partner for PPE?
Yeah, it's great. It's funny how conversations and how your journey through your career take you through different stops. Certainly over many years, I've worked very closely with Andrew and recently in talking with Jake and their work team. Had a couple of things that came up in conversations over the start of this kind of challenge that just triggered off the thought that a good we needed to work with somebody that had a like mind and a spirit of doing this for the membership and for the community, and somebody that we could trust, and somebody that had the ability to shoot it straight and to go through the pitfalls, the challenges, and the successes in solving some of these complex challenges. And quite frankly, Andrew came first to mind for me when going through and thinking, who can I call to talk about this, not only as a sounding platform, but whether or not it was a good idea for us to go down this path, but also have the ability to help pull together the necessary parts and pieces to execute on what the idea and the vision was. And I can easily say this, is that O'Rourke and Andrew have been longtime trusted partners of Nationwide, the independent retail channel, and have been like-minded in trying to do the right thing to help create the process and the opportunity to bring these type of challenges with the right spirit in mind. And that was an easy call for me to make. It wasn't very long. It was like, oh, this is exactly who I need to call.
Absolutely. Now, we'll come back to trust as we proceed through the next few minutes, but we're going to hop right into what I know that members are very much wanting to hear, and that's talking about the actual program that's been developed. Now, we'll start with a very simple question. Does this program have a name?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I guess I'll jump in here. It's the O'Rourke PPE retail program. Very, very simple, obviously, descriptive name on what this is and what it's supposed to support. So we look forward to getting it rolled out very quickly here.
Absolutely. Now, when we talk PPE, there's several things that come to mind very quickly. People think about masks, and they may even think about disposable gloves. But one of the key elements of this program is that it's much more comprehensive than just masks and gloves. Those are obviously included, but there's much more to it than that. Derek, I'll start with you. Can you speak to that global platform? What all is involved here? What all would a member be looking at from a product standpoint that's available through this PPE program?
Yeah, you bring up an important part of this journey, right? And we'll keep using that word because there was a lot of discovery that happened and a lot of education that had to go on with all of this product as we're asking different questions about, masks. And if you just ask for masks, you're going to get, 25 different responses as to what a mask is. If you ask for just sanitizer, you're going to get 25 different responses as to what sanitizer is. And as we were going through all of the discovery and asking the questions and going back and forth with the different suppliers and factories in China and different suppliers here in the U.S., those questions were really important to clarify to what we were going to deliver and what we wanted to deliver. So in my mind, what we ended up doing is we kind of structured it in three areas. Is how do you protect your customer when a customer comes in the door? And how do you offer some protection as a service to your customers? How do you protect your sales and store associates, the ones that are interacting and engaging with customers on a day-to-day basis? And how do you protect and help provide equipment for your delivery and install crews, so when they go into a consumer's home, that they have the equipment necessary? And so we have learned a lot about masks and the different types of masks. And it is important to clarify, because today you can go online and you can Google, and there are pop-up suppliers of masks all over the place. The price range is massive. And there's a reason for that price range, because the supply and the states and the government and are all trying to get access into a consistent supply from different places, it's causing prices to be swing wildly and supply to swing wildly. And so a lot of these pop-up solutions that you may see as if you were to look Google it, or to go out and search for personal protective equipment or PPE equipment or even masks, may or may not really have the product that they're talking about, may or may not have the pricing consistently. And as we've gone and sourced it, we've seen changes in the matter of minutes and hours as it relates to availability and supply and price once somebody said, yeah, I have these available. So this process for these products and grabbing these products and the specific products we'll talk about was a long, drawn out, hard zeroing in to make sure that we were identifying the right products and masks and equipment to bring to the membership on a consistent basis. One thing that this, and we haven't talked about, we talked about this, but there's going to be a considerable amount of transparency and a considerable amount of trust that we're going to be working on with this program to make sure that the members are going in eyes wide open with what they're getting when they purchase and select this product from their work purchasing PPE retail program. So, and I'll turn that into, and maybe we'll go back and forth with Andrew and a little bit about some of our experiences with the masks, right? Because, certainly our foundation today, if we look at customer, retail store associate, and delivery crews, was to start off with, disposable 3-ply masks, ones that are the ones you see that go over the back of the ear and are generally less expensive in nature because they're intended to be single-use disposable type masks. And there you go. Andrew's got an example of the type of mask that that him and his team, and as we've been going through different discussions, been able to source and find. Those masks are typically less expensive because they are intended to be single-use, and we identified them as a good alternative for customers to use if they come into a store and a store wants to offer a mask to a customer to provide them some additional protection. I do want to say this too, is that all of this equipment is identified to be personal protective, right? And it's, by no means does this eliminate the possibility of infection, right? By no means does this eliminate the possibility that this infection is going to infiltrate any of these supplies or products that are purchased or provided not only customer but also to the sales associate. It's there to help provide to the guidelines of the CDC, the guidelines of what we're saying as personal protective equipment to customers and sales associates.
And Derek, let me jump in right there and ask an important question. A question that's sure to come up is, does any of this PPE program, anything that we're doing with this program, does it deprive the medical field of the PPE that they need? Or is this something different?
No, this is another important discovery, right? Because as you go through the different qualifications of masks, the healthcare professionals have a very specific definition and a very specific specification that they have to use as a medical professional. They have to use, and you've heard this term of N95 mask, N95 qualified protection masks. And the pricing on those masks, because of the supplies, it's very, very high.
Right.
The masks of these disposable 3-ply masks wouldn't be used in a typical healthcare situation as a standard use for the nurses or for the doctors that are helping provide coverage or provide service and care to a sick individual. They are really looking for those N95s. And now this other definition, this KN95 mask is also a disposable mask that was generated with very similar type of filtration as the N95. It is definitely a better mask than the 3-ply disposable, but is not necessarily always qualified to be used in all healthcare professional situations. They may have situations that they use it for, but they're not qualified to be the de facto type of mask that they're going to use in standard COVID situations. So that being said,
go ahead.
Well, as I say, we are going to bring in, as part of the program, we have identified sources to be able to provide KN95 disposable masks for use with members, with retail sales associates, within the retail environment. That will be a good quality mask to provide. And those prices on those are typically a little bit higher right now than those disposable 3-ply masks. Every member will have a choice as to how they want to personally decide they want to protect or provide protection and what they want to provide. Each state is going to have different guidelines, so everybody's going to have to watch those guidelines carefully on the coronavirus resource page that Nationwide's continually updating and providing guidance on. But those are the things that we learned, Andrew, and jump in and share anything else that I may have missed related to the masks that we've kind of focused in on. But those are what we kind of learned through our.
I would like to throw one other thing in there, Andrew, as you respond to that. There's also a third type of mask available in the program, and that's that cloth reusable mask. Can you speak to what you've seen as far as all three of those masks and the inclusion of a cloth mask?
Yeah, absolutely. And Derek is right. I mean, the KN95 is certainly a more expensive mask. We're seeing pricing 3X or 4X of a 3-ply. Mm-hmm. And for the average user of this mask, whether it be a retail associate or an employee, is going to be comparable utilizing a 3-ply mask. So when we first equipped our employees, we provided the 3-ply to our warehouse folks and our folks that are still coming into the office. So we are very comfortable that is going to give us, the type of protection and what you need is really we believe the 3-ply is probably the most logical approach. Now, I want to disclaim we're not experts. So we are gathering information just as you are from the CDC websites and some of the different guidelines as states decide to open up. But the 3 different types of masks that we're talking about here is KN95s, and then you've got the 3-ply, and then you have a cloth mask. So currently we have very, very solid sources for the KN95 and the 3-ply. That was kind of priority 1 for us, was to secure masks. Cloth masks, they're washable, right? So they're reusable. So there might be some longevity to that. We have some more research to do with regards to cloth masks. Those will probably be available a little bit later in the program. I'm not talking months. When I say later, things are changing daily. We have already purchased, north of 150,000 masks between the 3-plies and the KN95s. So we thought that was the most important priority for us to get that product moving quickly to us so that we can get it out to the membership. And then we will certainly dive into what those cloth masks look like down the road. Thank you.
Now, beyond the masks, let's take it beyond masks for a minute as we look at some other items that will be available in this assortment. Obviously, disposable gloves are very useful. Those have been very hard to get for a lot of retailers. You can't go to your local hardware store and pick up disposable gloves at this point. They're just not there. But let's talk for a minute about hand sanitizers. Different delivery vehicles for hand sanitizers here. We've got 2-ounce hand sanitizers and also 8-ounce pump style hand sanitizers. Can you speak to just a little bit about how you were able to acquire and make available hand sanitizer?
Yeah, one thing we found out pretty quickly about hand sanitizer is that the best source for that is actually in the U.S. So most of the hand sanitizer we've been able to secure and procure at this point is from California. So that's a good thing because lead times are a lot less than trying to bring something over from China. The air freight right now is one of the most complicated pieces of this puzzle when it comes to price. To air freight something could easily add 50 cents to a single item, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're buying 100,000 of something, it adds up very, very, very quickly. So it's great that we're locally sourcing hand sanitizer. I think one comment around hand sanitizer is we're probably going to see different size offerings and different types of offerings because of how we're sourcing this. Folks are making this as fast as they can. For some of the POs we've already placed with hand sanitizer, but I think you'll see different brands, Germex and Purell, and probably some generic brands. So I think one comment to just clarify, as we procure this, we'll probably end up having 20 to 25 different suppliers, literally, And that's one reason why we knew we had to step in. We're going to put the manpower and resources behind accumulating all of this product into one location, one place where they can go and purchase it. But yeah, hand sanitizer is a great one. And the other thing to talk about is not just hand sanitizer, but disinfectant. So what we have done, which is kind of cool, and I'll probably turn it over to Jake to speak to it a little bit, but small businesses are being hurt by this, and distilleries, they're closed right now. So Jake, why don't you talk about how we sourced locally from Iowa some disinfectant?
Yeah, so Andrew, thank you. We were able to source some hand sanitizer or disinfectant from a local distillery here. As you mentioned, during this time, a lot of those businesses aren't able to be open and ran. And so they have an extra batch of this alcohol that they can utilize in multiple different ways. And one of those ways that they found out was hand sanitizer and disinfectant. The nice thing is it's local, it's locally sourced, it's a small operation. So that we know that money is going directly right back into the community. As you kind of mentioned earlier, how we got started, that was another reason we got started, was because we bought hundreds of gallons of kind of their first batch and donated it locally here to different businesses and first responders and hospitals as kind of a first run as our charitable arm and an initiative. So as soon as the retail PPE program came in place, we just kind of continue that relationship, and it's going to be another awesome source of ours here locally that we know is going to go right back into the small businesses and local communities.
Absolutely. And that's certainly a big part of the puzzle, being able to keep the store sanitized, being able to keep all those surfaces clean. And as we talk about in-store, one of the things that pops out on the list of products to be available are those sneeze shields. Now, Derek mentioned going into grocery stores. Most folks by now have encountered those. It's just that clear barrier, right, between the team and the customer as they're at the point of sale.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something you're starting to see in grocery stores now. I think what you're seeing is reactionary actions taking place. What we want to provide is proactive action, so that the day one when we slowly open the economy and businesses get up and running, that they have everything they need to be safe and keep their employees safe and keep the customers safe. So, I think the sneeze shields are extremely important, and even the social distancing signage that we're going to provide in this program. So we've tried to think through this holistically, not just go out and buy some masks and provide some masks. As we all shop grocery stores, that's kind of the first place where you look around and go, what are they doing? And how can this kind of translate into a smaller retail location to make sure we're doing the right things? You can see they're catching up with what is needed. We want to be caught up when we launch and have everything that is needed. So that is another piece of this puzzle that we're taking very seriously.
Now, and speaking of all the things we've talked about, a lot of those have very strong in-store use. But Derek brought up an interesting point in the beginning. We know that within the membership, delivery personnel, installers, service technicians, they face some unique challenges as they go into consumers' homes. And that actually is a challenge both ways. Obviously, we want to protect our teams as they touch multiple consumers throughout the day. But we know that there's rising concern among consumers as they bring outside workers into their homes. They obviously want to see our teams taking every precaution necessary to prevent that spread of the virus further. So a lot of things in this program, when we start talking about gowns, when we start talking about shoe covers, when we talk about full body suits or face shields, goggles, a lot of those are done with those in-home services in mind. Andrew, would you speak a little bit about that side of the program and how important it is to protect those folks who are out in the field?
Yeah, obviously that's extremely, extremely important. That is truly frontline. And I think there's two pieces to the puzzle, right? There's the consumer being comfortable with someone coming into their home and what their expectations are going to be down the road. We don't look at that as a 1 month or 2 month during the peak of this crisis. We think that's going to have some longevity until there's truly a vaccine, which, at the earliest estimates is probably 12, 18 months away. We believe these are going to be necessary requirements or at least customer expectations they're going to live and have a long tail to them. So that's where, one, you protect the employee, but also protect the customer and their families, because the online business, if you don't know, is through the roof. So a lot of things have gone contactless, right? That's kind of a buzzword, but you can't do a contactless dishwasher install or a kitchen install. You're going to need to be in a consumer's home. So I think that's where we really kind of looked at that as not a maybe need, but an essential piece to this reopening puzzle. So we are going full force in securing gowns, and whether it's a goggle or a protective wear to cover your face, certainly the masks, the gloves, the shoe covers, and the gowns. It's all going to be a piece of this puzzle as we roll back open the business here, and we want to make sure again we do it safely.
Absolutely. Now, you spoke to this briefly earlier, but I'll put you on the spot. And this is for Jake and Andrew both. Let's talk pricing. Obviously, we've said that the price of acquisition is dynamic. It's changing rapidly. But your pricing approach as you make this available to the members, can you tell us the mindset behind that and how you've structured your pricing?
Yeah, I'll jump in first here. The pricing is so dynamic. We source a lot of product in a lot of different categories, and I've never dealt with sourcing something that has such significant swings in cost and supply and availability from day to day, literally hour to hour. I mean, we had a situation where we were about to place our first order on masks about 10 days ago, and the next day the price jumped 57% in one day, and that was on a 50,000 unit order. So as we do this, what my commitment is, what our commitment is from a work sales company is full transparency, meaning what we will add on to the cost of this product is the cost to pick, pack, and ship it. This is not a profit-driving business adventure for us. Like we mentioned at the beginning of this discussion, we are running this under our OSC Cares charitable arm. And we look at this as a necessity and a service to the membership versus us selling them something to make a profit. But to speak to pricing just in general, there's nothing to say that pricing won't potentially go up, because we've seen prices change and go up. And as different hotspots in the country, or let's say the Southern Hemisphere even, if Mexico or Brazil or somewhere flares up and they start having the global demand for mass shipped to other parts of the world, this is truly a world sourcing problem. We're going to have those impact how we secure product. But the other major point here is, as this progresses and as supply chains catch up to the demand, as that pricing improves, we will pass that on. Now, this certainly isn't a price protection type of product. So just to be clear, we're paying cash in advance for a majority of the product that we're securing. So we've got a significant risk factor on our side. And, talking to ownership and Jeff and Jake and the orgs, they're willing to make that commitment and put up our capital before we even see the product or before the product even ships to us. So again, I guess that's a good point to make, is that the pricing that we're passing on is going to be strong. You might see a better price out there. If somebody gets local supply somewhere, and that's okay. What we can commit to you is that the price we're providing you is the best possible price based on our acquisition and just labor costs.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I want to reiterate that because Andrew mentioned it earlier. As we're going through this process, as collaboratively and as transparently as a partnership possibly can happen in this retail distributor supply chain situation. And this transparency to identify cost and cost fluctuations and discussions they're not happening without having very, very detailed conversations as a collective group before the decisions are being made and the triggers being pulled to go get product and find it. And Andrew's 100% right about the cost fluctuations. In my entire career in sourcing product, I have never seen wilder, quicker, more volatile pricing situation occur out of anything that's come out of product that's coming out of China or product that's being sourced to go out and buy. It's very, very, very challenging. And as a result, there will be points of time where you'll see on one particular item that there may be a lower cost available in a quantity that as people and price fluctuates that are very, very opportunistic. This will be consistent. This will be trusted, and this will be a very collaborative process and order process and procurement process for the nationwide members to be able to get product in and have clarity that they're doing it in the best fashion that we possibly can put in the best we can put forward right now.
Well, and another part of that shouldn't go without saying is that, as you guys said, you wake each other up, you put each other to bed. There's an around-the-clock effort to do this. And for a retailer in the process of getting back to business and opening their stores, that kind of an investment of time is nigh onto impossible. So having a team doing that to provide a consistent and comprehensive source means a ton. So let's get right to the real fun point here. Let's talk when these products are anticipated to be available and how. So let me put that actually first to you, Andrew. When do you anticipate product availability and ordering to open up?
Yeah, and I know that's going to be probably the flood of phone calls we initially get is, how do I get this? What is it? How much does it cost? That all of that work is actually underway. That's one of the reasons why I'm talking to Derek at 11:30 at night and 6 in the morning when I'm driving to the office, is putting all these final pieces together. We want to make it extremely easy for the membership to procure this product. So certainly if you have a relationship currently with O'Rourke, obviously you can buy through your salesperson or how you currently purchase today. In addition to that, the exchange platform, which you are all very, very familiar with, is going to be another place where you will be able to place your orders. We're creating a order processing system on our side so we can expedite those orders into our system. We've contacted temp agencies in case the flood of demand for pick, pack, ship is pretty significant. So we're ready from a staffing perspective. So that gives you a little of the background infrastructure things we're doing to make sure we can support this program. To answer the when, we've got, like I said previously, over 150,000 units of PPE product on order today. And we plan on ordering more later this afternoon, and we'll be ordering probably on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. We expect our first incoming of products to probably hit early next week. So in that time of waiting for the product to arrive, we are building out that purchasing infrastructure, and we'll be proactively communicating out to the membership the simple way to do that. How we looked at this was we put significant priority on different products first. So just to speak to that, obviously, we believe the mask and sanitizer were two of the hottest, most needed products immediately. So those were our first purchase orders. We're now working on the protective gloves. And as we look at kind of phase 2, which we kind of look at that install phase, that'll be the next major incoming of product probably over the next weeks. We're not talking months here, we're talking weeks. But again, we wanted to make sure as we phase into this, we get the most critical items first. So there will be a little phase in of product availability. But again, the exchange, we will feed inventory. That's a nice thing about the exchange is we feed live inventory to that. So you'll be able to see that on the exchange. So one benefit of going there is seeing what is in stock. I mean, one thing I'm going to ask is patience. I can promise you we are working as fast as humanly possible. We wish there were more hours and days, quite honestly. We wish, planes and boats were faster. But again, we will get this to you as quickly as we can. Some of the other, probably what I would consider more expensive items like the sneeze shields, we'd like to get your understanding of what you need from that. There are some MOQs we need to hit. Those we have not purchased yet, but we have a line on 2 different sources for that specific product. So some of this stuff we're going to need to collaborate with the membership to get some good understanding of what you believe your needs are going to be. Forecasting for this is more challenging than anything. We can't forecast what's going to happen this weekend, let alone the next 9 months during a pandemic. So any of your feedback and thoughts on your needs, it would be extremely, extremely helpful to make sure we procure the right amount of products.
And Andrew, I'm glad you brought that up. Derek, if you would speak just for a moment as we launch this video today, as we make this announcement, we're also launching a nationwide retail insights survey. which really leans into exactly what Andrew said. Can you speak to the importance of a high level of participation and the benefits that members will see as they participate in that survey?
Yeah, first of all, for the members that are watching this and the members that watch this video and have answered the quick response surveys that have been put out by Mike and the team up to this point, thank you for doing that, because your feedback in those surveys has been absolutely critical in navigating the important items for you and how we can provide the most information, the most relative information, and the details you need to work through this environment and through this crisis. And we could not have that without the participation at the high levels that you're delivering today. With that said, as Andrew mentioned, and as Mike mentioned, in the next survey that will go out, you will see questions about the type of equipment and what you anticipate as your needs, so that we can accurately and for the long term be able to forecast and bring in the right quantities based on what your needs are. This isn't a commitment to buy. It isn't when you answer the questions, it's guidance for us so that we're not buying the wrong quantity of something that's completely in left field based on what you're experiencing at retail. This is absolutely critical and, quite frankly, really a first in forecast management of the independent channel. By getting these surveys in place and a high degree of participation from all of you and from the members on these surveys, this will help us in doing a better job and help Andrew and Jake and the team at O'Rourke to be able to navigate these difficult waters and not have us at 6 o'clock in the morning or at midnight at midnight talking about things and products that aren't going to be of impact or significance to helping out in this environment on these personal protective equipment items. So please make sure you take a time to answer those questions, and there are some detail, but it will be extremely helpful for the team.
Absolutely. And guys, I will go ahead and say that we went into this with a pretty strict time limit. Jake and I were told not to talk a lot because Derek and Andrew both have to get back into the process of ordering and managing all this PPE coming in. So as we begin to wrap up, on behalf of the Nationwide membership and our team here at Nationwide, Andrew and Jake, to both of you and to your teams, we greatly appreciate your partnership in this initiative, your leadership in this initiative, and that dedication to the long-term health and the smooth reopening of independent retailer as these folks come back. And as we wrap up, Andrew, we'll start with you. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with the members?
I think we've kind of echoed it to this whole thing is just, we want to help you guys get back to business, and we want to help you get back to business safely. We look at our relationships with the membership as partnerships. And this is the least we can do to help support the safe reopening of your businesses. So to echo Derek's point, your feedback in these surveys, I encourage it. I welcome it. I beg for it as we go through this forecasting and procuring process. But again, good luck out there. Good luck reopening. And if there's anything else you need or anything we're missing, that's the other thing. We've been flexible through this entire process. Get that feedback to the Nationwide leadership, and we're in daily and hourly contact during this program rollout. So this isn't a fixed box, right? So as more new needs arise, we'll step up and meet the challenge. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andrew. And Jake, any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, kind of as Andrew mentioned, and Derek and you, Mike, we're here for the membership. Our commitments to you and really getting us all back to business, and that's our priority right now, and doing it in a safe and efficient way. And we're just excited to be able to run this through our OSC Cares arm, just for that transparency, and because we feel like it's something we need to do, and we're able to do it. So we're just eager and happy to help.
Absolutely, and certainly appreciated. Derek, final thoughts as we close out.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for organizing and your continued efforts on the updates that you're providing to the membership. You and the team at Nationwide, the communications team, Amy and Rob, are just doing an absolutely fantastic job. And it's because of that spirit that helped drive a lot of these initiatives and doing the right thing and helping the members out. And for the members, Thank you, and continue to provide the feedback. And thank you for your hard effort and work and dedication to helping out this country get back up to speed and to get back into a place of normalcy, and whatever that may mean or what that may be defined as we go forward. And as we move through these challenging times and these turbulent times, it's going to be on the success of our independent communities and our customers and the individuals in the communities that are going to make it work. And to Team O'Rourke and to Jake and to Andrew, I cannot thank you enough for your commitment to the nationwide membership, to the communities that you're serving, and to this entire industry, because it is a very difficult task of what we've tackled, and you've done it in a collaborative partnership way with the spirit of helping. And I can't thank you enough for doing that, and looking forward to helping out and continuing to provide our commitment to helping with this particular cause to all the independent and nationwide members.
Absolutely. And so many other things happening as well. More news coming to you very soon. Very exciting today with the opening of this new PPE program exclusively with O'Rourke. And we do appreciate you joining us today. We'll see you again very soon. And as always, be safe and be well.